Thank you all. Do I need the microphone? Can y'all hear me okay, or is mic better? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
It's good? Okay.
The other mics are on too.
Sometimes the mic kind of...
These are on ones for the videos.
Okay. Is it helpful for the video? Do we have people online watching, or is... Okay. I appreciate the opportunity this morning. Always say that we're the State Chamber of Commerce, State Manufacturing Association, and so we always appreciate the opportunity to come out and speak with and visit with, and we're in church, right? Fellowship with our local chambers, because we understand, and I understand, especially I'm from North Louisiana. I'm from small town Ruston, Louisiana. And so, I've been in Baton Rouge for about 15 years, a little over 15 years now, which is kind of crazy. But, and so I uniquely understand, and as the state chamber, we understand that the challenges of Livingston aren't necessarily the challenges of Ruston. Challenges of Baton Rouge aren't necessarily the challenges and the opportunities of New Orleans. And so these opportunities for me are hopefully as beneficial as they are for you to come out and visit, especially in a little bit smaller settings like these. They provide us as your representatives, as the state chamber, as your partner at the state chamber, a great opportunity because you're boots on the ground. You're the pulse of your community. You're Main Street. You're the tax base. You're the business community in your local towns and in your communities. And so I hope today I can provide you an opportunity, a little peek into what we're doing based on, we hope, a representation of what you need from us, and then maybe provide some feedback of what direction we need to be going, and if we're going in the right direction. And then we'll talk about some benchmarking that we're doing to hopefully make sure we are continuing to go in the right direction. But speaking of, I think I have to turn this on for it to work, is what they told me. Speaking of going in, let's see. Oh, it's on the side. Oh. All right. Now we're cooking. All right. Speaking of going in the right direction, last year we knew, like you all knew, that this state was not necessarily going in the right direction. How did we know that? We were losing more population than we were gaining. On the tax climate ranking that generally everybody in the country respects, we were in the 40s. Education, we were, depending on what metric you want to look at as a state as a whole, we were 42, 44, 46. We had 3 of the top 10 violent crime cities in the country, and we were not seeing the kind of investments across the South that other states were seeing. Manufacturing, growth, investment, energy. These were things that were going to Texas and Mississippi and Alabama and other areas. And so that was the bad news, right? But the good news was that we had a new governor coming in, a new attorney general, new insurance commissioner, new leadership in the House and in the Senate. And so they were all elected with a mandate to change all of that, to reverse the outmigration and to start bringing in new incentives, new projects, and to reverse really the negative statistics that had long plagued Louisiana. We knew at the state chamber, and you knew here as the regional chamber, that we couldn't just come up with the same old solutions, throw a bunch of stuff against the wall and see what stuck. We needed to help them, the new leaders, with a transformative plan to hopefully combine the new leadership and move forward. And so what we did was we partnered with a lot of you. We partnered with national experts, local experts, and we put together our LA-driven strategic plan. It was a comprehensive plan. Hopefully you've read it by now. It's about 70 pages long. It covers everything from education, energy, insurance, healthcare. It's got a little something for everybody. Like I said, it's about 70 pages long. But really, it boils down to about 4 buckets. You can go to ladriven.org if you haven't looked at that. I really like it says, hey, here's the issues, here's the solutions, but also, by the way, here's some things that other states have done that really look like Louisiana, same challenges as Louisiana, and here's some policy measures that other states have done to address the issues that Louisiana has now that's resulted in success in those states. And so it really was a true blueprint. But really, of the 70 pages, it really boiled down to 4 things that I think all of you, I bet if I said, hey, give me 4 or 5 solutions that you can all agree on, and I handed you a piece of paper, I promise you all of you probably would have come up with at least 3 of these 4 things, right? It's not rocket science. Everyone agreed that we've got to aggressively look at our education and talent supply. We've got to look at economic development. We've got to look at tax policy and business climate, and we've got to address our safety and resilience. And so I'm really excited to say, of all of those buckets in just 1 year, what a difference a year makes. Because the legislature, and with your help, and with our guidance, passed over 50 LA-driven measures that we earmarked that were underneath our plan and that fit within these buckets over the last year to move the state forward. And the results are clear. I told you coming into this time last year, we were 42nd in our tax climate. The tax foundation is now predicting we'll be in about the 20s. Why is that? Because coming into last year, we were one of about 15 states on the franchise tax. We eliminated the franchise tax. We had the highest corporate income tax rate in the South. We now have the lowest. They lowered the corporate income tax. We were among one of the highest personal income tax rates, and we have this wonky, stair-stepped income tax rate system. We flattened it and lowered it. And so these are 3 dynamic things that we did in Louisiana, and we're going to move from the 40s down into the 20s. And then on education, we passed transformative education savings accounts. We expanded corporate charters. We invested in high-dosage tutoring in math and in reading. And now we are down from the 40s into the 30s. And so these are transformative things that we did on tax and on education. And then we went into criminal justice. We passed things that made our criminal justice system more accountable, more transparent, but we also invested in reentry. We said we're not going to send criminals to prison to be better criminals. We're going to send them there and make sure when they come out they have a GED, and that when they come out they have access to a birth certificate or an ID. And now you may be asking, well, why does that, I don't really understand, why is that critical to reentry and to getting a job and things like that? Well, I'll be honest with you, I kind of asked myself that question too when I first saw it as a major priority on LABI's list. Well, it's because, I take it for granted, and maybe you do too, that you know exactly where your driver's license and your birth certificate is. Well, a lot of ex-offenders don't. And so when they come out of prison and they go to try to get a job, they leave the old neighborhood, they try to get away from the old crowd, they go and they fill out a job application. After they turn the application in, what's the first thing an employer asks for? A form of ID. Well, they don't have that. They call and they get called into the 1-800 maze. They try to find the birth certificate. Maybe they know where their parents are, maybe they don't. Maybe their parents know where their ID and birth certificate is, maybe they don't. And you can kind of see that it's just a vicious cycle. And it makes it so much easier to offend and go back to the old lifestyle, go back to the old neighborhood. And so we're just making it that much harder to go back and offend. And so it's just the little things that add up to help separate ex-offenders from the life of crime. So we supported legislative measures like that. And so we no longer have 3 of the top 10 cities in the country in violent crime. And so again, transformative changes in Louisiana. I just got an article sent to me that we moved from 31st to 18 in another world ranking as most attractive states to come to. And so you're seeing the results of success within these metrics that we had to do. And that's just in 1 year. But we've got a lot of work left to do. Other states have taken notice. Mississippi, they just repealed their income tax over the next few years. Other states have woken up and they've said, man, Louisiana used to be a fun place to go and have a parade, go to Mardi Gras, and eat some good food, but nobody wanted to stay there. They really weren't a threat. Well, now states are looking at us as a threat, and they're aggressively trying to, step up. And so the old saying of it, if you're standing still, you're following behind. Too often we've passed good bills, we've piecemeal some things. We do what Louisianians like to do. We celebrate a long time, and we sort of stand still and we fall behind. We can't afford to do that because other states have taken notice. And so our theme for this year is we've got to stay full throttle. We've got to keep our pedal to the floor, and we've got to continue to aggressively move forward. Because if we don't, like I said, we are going to fall behind. And then in addition to that, you probably heard me leave out one of the most glaring things that we haven't accomplished yet: insurance. So the other leg of that stool that I didn't mention that we talked about last year was we're still the highest cost state in the country for insurance. And so the other thing that Mr. Parrish, President, mentioned as well was the inventory tax. We're one of 9 states in the country that fully taxes inventory. And so these are things that we know that we've got a lot of work left to do. We accomplished a lot. And these are things that you tell us and that our board tells us that we need to accomplish moving forward. And so we'll dig into those things and a few more. So this is what we prioritize as the next step to continue to move Louisiana forward. Workforce development, early childhood education, continue that tax and budget reform, stabilize our insurance market, and then government efficiency and accountability. And so we'll kind of dive into these, if you'll let me, a little bit closer individually. And if there's any questions, please stop me along the way. Number 1, workforce. Why is workforce development so important right now in our state? It's because we have our current labor force participation rate stands at about 58.5%. So what does that mean? That means right now, 58.5% of our citizens, able-bodied, are not participating in the labor force rate. We need about 150,000 more people working in Louisiana. And so we're attracting the CF Industries, the Metas, the steel manufacturing plants. And that's great. We're going to continue to attract more because of the policies we've done. But word's going to get out that we can attract all the manufacturing and all the plants and all the investment in the world. But if we can't staff it, word's going to get out pretty quick. And so how do we address the current labor force participation shortage? We think it's in a couple of different ways. Number 1, we've got to expand access to high-quality early childhood education. And so if you're asking yourself, how in the world does expanding early childhood education address labor workforce shortage today? How does daycare equal workforce today? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're making the business case for early childhood education. If you listen to our workforce commissioner, Susie Showen, secretary, if you've ever heard her speak on this subject, she'll tell you she asked herself, why are so many able-bodied adults not working? She asked herself that question, she dug in, and what she found was a lot of them are parents. And of the parents, a lot of them are females. And when she asked the females, she said, why are you not working? Overwhelmingly, the answer was one of 2 things. I don't have access to child care, or I can't afford child care. And then we dug in a little deeper and we found a study. And the study showed that 1 in 7 didn't have access to child care, and so they turned down a promotion. 1 in 7 turned down a promotion. Half of the respondents with a child under the age of 4 missed work regularly. 1 in 6 were forced to quit a job, and 1 in 13 were fired because of child care issues. So just imagine if in Louisiana we had businesses that had access to child care, that supported child care. If we expanded the child care tax credit at the state, how many more able-bodied, talented, working parents we could bring back to the workforce? And we think this is a big solution. We also think it's a win-win-win for business, for the parents and for the child. Because overwhelmingly, statistics have shown that a child's brain development is so significant between the ages of birth to 5 that access to quality early childhood education jumpstarts that kid into school. So it's a win for the kid. It's a win for the parent because they're able to go back to the workforce. They have quality access to child care for their kid. And then it's a win for the employer because they get a talented individual back into the workforce. And so again, this is a win-win-win. And oftentimes we don't really connect the dots with employers and with businesses on why early childhood is such a great opportunity for all of us. And so we're trying to do that. We think that we're going to start promoting this as a chamber, and we love to partner with you all and love to have you help do that. The other, career readiness and reentry. Workforce development solutions make us a top destination for job creators and families. How are we going to do that? In 2 ways. Through Be Pro, Be Proud, and expanding the MJ Foster program. You may have heard us talk about Be Pro, Be Proud before. This is an incredible program that was started by the Arkansas Chamber of Commerce. It's an 18-wheeler tractor trailer that goes around to schools all over Arkansas. Because what Arkansas found was similar to Louisiana. They're an agricultural rich state, pulp and paper, manufacturing, really similar to Louisiana. But what they found is that students in high schools weren't connecting the dots to these need-based jobs. They didn't realize that there was other opportunities beyond 4-year degrees where they could make significant money and have a great career. And so what Arkansas did was, the chamber, they said, you know what? We can put Nucor Steel. We can put Weyerhaeuser. We can put utilities. We can put a truck. We can put a bulldozer. We can put a rail car into this 18-wheeler truck that transforms out. It's like, remember the old cartoon, the old movie Transformers? It drives up to the school and it transforms out, as you can see, into this massive room about this size. And it parks in front of the school, and high schoolers go through it. And it's got about 16 virtual reality and real stations in it. And high schoolers can go in, they can drive a dump truck. They can drive a simulator 18-wheeler. They can put on headphones that are 3D and work on a line. And then at the end, it tells them, did you know that you can work for a utility company as a lineman making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 with full benefits? Did you know you can drive a truck straight out of high school with this training making X amount of dollars with full benefits? And so on and so on. They sign up and they say, absolutely, I'm interested. Well, really the silver bullet is after that. Because after that, we know this. Those kids go back to band, baseball, basketball, football, or whatever, and they go about their lives. What's significant is that information then goes to the parents. Because we know that, I was incredibly blessed when I was a junior, senior. Y'all mentioned I went to Northwestern. I had Northwestern sending me scholarship opportunities and tops and pamphlets and things like that. And my mom snatched me up one day and said, fill out this application. You've got TOPS money. You're going to Northwestern. Unfortunately, a lot of kids don't have that. And so what happens? Parents lose hope. Kids lose hope. And what Arkansas was also finding out was kids were dropping out of school. Well, now imagine if that same pamphlet was from Demco, was from Nucor Steel, was from Weyerhaeuser, and said, Will Green visited the truck, Be Pro, Be Proud, and indicated he was interested in being a line worker, driving a truck, or working for Nucor Steel. And did you know, parent, they could make X amount of dollars starting right out of high school or with a 2-year community technical college degree? And the parents' minds are blown, and they say, you're staying in school, you've got this opportunity, dots are connected. Arkansas found 2 things. High school graduation rates went up, dropout rates went down, and community technical college enrollment went through the roof after Be Pro, Be Proud was started. They now have 2 trucks in Arkansas, 100 schools on the wait list, and Be Pro, Be Proud's in 7 states now. We want to bring that to Louisiana, and we'd love to talk to you if you're interested in partnering with us. The MJ Foster program. MJ Foster is an expansion of TOPS for kids that want to go to technical college, and we've expanded it to be for younger kids as well. We want to expand it for ex-offenders because we think they deserve a second chance and have to have access to this money. We think there's an untapped potential there as well to get them back into the workforce. Again, separate them from just reoffending in the life of crime. And so those are a couple of things that we're looking at on how to build the workforce of tomorrow. Continued tax reform, inventory tax. That's one of the big things that we were disappointed on CA2 was you no longer have the ability to opt out of the inventory tax. One of the things we'll be talking about this session is finding a solution, a responsible solution out of the inventory tax. We're one of 9 states in the country that fully taxes inventory. It's a disincentive for businesses to come here, for businesses to expand here. It is a punitive tax. It's a tax that you're taxed on inventory without regard for if you sell it, if you make a profit. It's pyramiding by any standard on any tax expert will tell you it's just a bad tax. But the reality is that it was put on long ago, and as a Band-Aid, the state came in and said, we know it's a bad tax, but we also know the locals rely on it, and until we can figure out a way out of it, we, the state, will come in business and pay you back a credit at the state level. This year, the legislature came in and said, look, parishes, if you'll opt out of it, we will give you more sales tax. We'll give you more severance tax. We'll give you this telecommunications tax. There's a bunch of ITEP contracts rolling off the books. We'll give you a one-time payment. And in return for that, we believe with the economic development that will come into your parish because you no longer have an inventory tax, it'll be a win for you. Unfortunately, you can't opt out anymore. Unfortunately for the business community, if you're a C corporation, you no longer get the credit. So right now, it's a lose-lose. What we're arguing for at the legislature this year, and Representative Bass has Ken Brass has the bill, is while we figure out a solution and give you the opportunity to opt out as a parish, let's make sure the business still has that credit. Because what's going to happen is the business that loses the credit is going to be strangled by the inventory tax while the state works out this terrible tax. So they're still disincentivized. Why would they stay here? They'll move their inventory out, and so everybody loses. And so we think that the runway should be extended for both the company and the parish while we figure out a way out of this. We think it's common sense. It's the way we've done it forever, and let's extend the runway for everybody. This is just a sort of a report on what we did. We talked about all of the good things that we did, but again, still a lot of work left to do. Talked about, and again, these are some of the things that we'll keep talking about. Extending the credit, LED incentives. Yes, sir.
We'll go back up one slide. We're talking about the workforce. There's a lot of opportunities to go to college, a lot of way to pay for that. We did an event yesterday to raise scholarship money for people who work in utility technical trade.
Mm-hmm.
Does LABI have anything that they can assist with the parish students with working in those fields that we need? Do y'all have any classes or any grants, anything? Because a guy that gets out of school at 18 years old, he's probably never welded before, but he wants to be a welder. He's gonna need to pay his truck go to school to learn how to be a welder. So there's gotta be opportunities for our blue collar citizens, and that's just how. And I was hoping LABI would take a lead role in the state and make that happen.
Yeah, so MJ Foster is for, that's TOPS dollars for that. I mean, it helps pay for the community technical college schools.
Okay.
So that's what that's for. I mean, a few years ago, we expanded, used to TOPS was just for 4-year universities. And we found that you need to expand that out to 2-year universities, community technical colleges. In addition to that, we have argued for pay, and I know this is a challenge for some, and we need to figure this out. We've talked to the superintendents, we've talked to the school boards, but we've argued for paid apprenticeships at the high school level. I think there's an apprenticeship program maybe around here that y'all do a good job of, but paid apprenticeships so that the student can get paid while they're working on the job learning. We think apprenticeships are a key. Other states really do it well, because what we found with apprenticeships is a high school student can go and do an apprenticeship, get paid. The employer gets a mentorship relationship. They connect with the talent individual, and they're more likely to stay with that job than go to Texas, Arkansas, or other states. ABC does a really good job with a lot of their training and their programs. They get some grant dollars, and so we do have a lot of partnerships with other of our trades that do a good job with that. And I can get you more information on that.
So ABC can't take in all the students that need to go there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's gotta be some sort of literature or plan with students when they become seniors, if they want to be in the technical field.
Sure.
Where do they go?
Yeah, and I know I can tell you Susie Shallon at the Workforce Commission, she's got a one-stop bill, and they are trying aggressively to solve the problem that you're talking about on needs-based jobs. She came from LED, and then she was at LCTCS, and now she's at the Workforce Commission. So she's kind of seen it all, and which is why is going to be and is so good at what she does, because she's come from economic development, so she knows what businesses need. Then she was at LCTCS, so she knows education and what the needs-based jobs are, and now she's at training and workforce. And so there are grants out there. She knows what the needs-based jobs are, and now she knows if you go and look at our LA Driven, you'll go to workforce, and you'll see right now in Louisiana, getting access to funding and grants and getting actual federal dollars down into the hands of the people that need them. It looks like a spaghetti knot. She is going to untangle those knots, and she wants it all flowing through one agency, so that when you actually go to a workforce office right now, you might need to go to 10 more offices before you find an answer. The one-stop bill that we're supporting this year that she helped write will hopefully end all of that. And so we're getting there. We're getting there. All right. And I know I'm running short on time here, and so I don't want to bury the lead on you all. But among our top issue, obviously, is stabilizing the insurance market. I talked about it earlier. It's the number one issue for the citizens of Louisiana. It has been for several years now. It's a top priority for LABI. We polled our members. It's the number one issue for us, for our members. And so it's something, obviously, we prioritized last year, made a lot of progress on property. And how we did that was we went out and with the insurance commissioner, and we said, property carriers, excess carriers, why are you not writing here? What's the deal? Why are you skipping? We're not the only state in the Gulf of America. That's what we're calling it now. Why are you not writing here? And they came back and they told us, you don't have a good faith and fair dealing process in your claims handling process. You're one of 3 states with a direct action statute where you can sue an insurance company directly. You don't properly fund your fortified roof program. You have a file and use versus a use and file system. You're one of 3 states in the country. We asked, they told us, and with the commissioner's help, we changed all those property insurance laws. And now the commissioner has just come in and reported that 10 or 11 new property insurance carriers are coming back. They filed to write in this state. And so what we've always said is that nothing we do today is going to change rates overnight. But what we do today will bring and can bring back carriers to the market. And so it gives you options. The problem is right now you don't have options. And when you don't have options, they dictate the market, right? So demand's high, but you don't have any supply. And I even remember from my freshman econ class, that's a problem. You need options, and you need to be able to shop. And if you can shop, you can compare rates, and that helps lower your rates. And so if we can have competition, with a couple of good underwriting and claims years, our rates will go down. We're seeing that on the property side. Unfortunately, on the casualty side, we got a lot of work to do, and casualty is car insurance. And so this year, we are aggressively coming back with a car insurance package of bills. And what is that package? That package is medical expense transparency, eliminate the Housley presumption, modified comparative fault, and no pay, no play. And so to kind of break that down into, everyday speak, I guess, medical expense transparency. Right now, the jury doesn't get to see the true cost of the medical damages. All they get to see is what was billed by the healthcare provider. And if you've ever gotten a bill in the mail by your healthcare provider, you probably, you've probably thrown it away, but if you've ever looked at it, it's called an explanation of benefits. What you've seen is that the medical bill is incredibly more than the amount Blue Cross, for example, actually paid. The reason that is because every provider has a contracted rate with your healthcare insurer. There is a massive gap. It might be a $100,000 medical bill, and Blue Cross paid $20,000. In most states now, the jury gets to see $100,000 was billed, and all the actual damage were is $20,000. Unfortunately, in Louisiana, the jury sees $100,000, and they get to award 40% on top of what was, or 40% of that 100,000 instead of what was actually awarded. And really, it's complicated, it's confusing, and it's driving up and inflating the cost of medical awards. And so, what we would ask is, let it all in, let the jury see it all, and award damages accordingly. It's not something new. It's what Florida just passed, it's what Georgia just passed, and it's what Arkansas just passed. The Housley presumption. We can't find another state that has this. It was based on some case law from the early 90s. It's a Housley case. It basically says that if you don't have symptoms before an accident, and then you claim symptoms after the accident, then it's presumed the accident caused the injury. And so the problem with that is that it creates a rebuttable presumption. And so kind of how I frame that is essentially in most other states, doesn't matter. You've got to presume, you've got to prove your case as the plaintiff. And so when you go in as a defendant, it's kind of 50-50. In Louisiana, we're the only state where the defense is down 51-49. And so all we're asking is put it back to 50-50. Modified comparative fault. We're one of 11 states in the country that you, as the plaintiff, can be more at fault for the accident, still sue, and recover for damages. And so what we're asking is, if you're more at fault for the accident than the person you're suing, you can't recover. Makes sense, right? Most other states think it does. And then no pay, no play. It's illegal to drive on the roads in Louisiana without insurance. But you can still drive on the roads without insurance, get in an accident, sue, and recover for damages. And so you can be driving illegally and sue and still get damages. The no pay, no play bill would say, if you're driving on the road illegally without insurance, you're limited you're eliminated from the first $100,000 in damages. Good news is all four of these bills, medical expense transparency, Representative Glorioso's bill, Housley presumption, Representative Mellorine's bill, modified comparative fault, Representative Chenever's bill, no pay, no play, Representative DeWitt's bill, all got out of committee 2 days ago in civil law, and they're headed to the House floor. And so please help us. We've got a QR code explaining all of these on your chairs. Click the code, send a message to your legislature supporting insurance reform. I've been in your seats before. We've talked about it before. I know there's a lot of conversation of, yeah, but does it help? Does insurance reform really help? Does anything really help? And I'm here to tell you that it does. Look no further than Florida. Florida in 2022 and 2023, they were tired of being a judicial hellhole just like we are. They said, we're in the Gulf of America. We've got, similarly situated, look a lot like Louisiana. They had high rates like we do. They had hurricanes like we do. And so what Governor DeSantis did is he said, I want transformative insurance reform. He went in and he did many of the same things we're doing now in 2022 and 2023. He has gone around Google DeSantis and insurance, and all you'll see is press conferences he is doing, going all over the state, talking about how many carriers are coming back to the state and how they are reducing rates on property and casualty. And so it can work. Not to be outdone, Governor Kemp, he said, I'm not going to lose Delta. I'm not going to lose Coca-Cola. I'm not going to lose Chick-fil-A. I'm tired of being on this judicial hellhole list. I'm tired of being one of the highest cost states in the country. We're passing tort reform this year. He went down to the Capitol. He yelled and he screamed and he said, give me all the leaders and give me a tort reform bill. And they passed Senate Bill 69 this year to help reduce the cost of their insurance rates, to bring carriers back to the market, to give businesses in Georgia the relief they deserve. Many of the things in that bill are things that we just covered that we're doing today. And so the point is that number one, it can work. And number two, we're not reinventing the wheel. These are not things that we're just made up. These aren't things that aren't fair. These aren't things to take away rights of citizens. These are things that other states either have done or are doing just to try to balance the scales a little bit. And so it can be done. Hopefully we will do it. Again, it doesn't happen overnight though. But that's why we have to do it now, because it does take time. But it does signal to the insurance carriers, to businesses, that we are back open for business. It's your number one issue that you told us. It's our members' number one issue. And so we have to do something. We will do something, and we're confident that we can get it across the finish line this year. That's the QR code that's on your that's on your pamphlets. Like I said, we need you. The legislature needs you. They need to hear from you. Please help us get it across the finish line. And then last, our board and you have told us that you want us to support enhanced government efficiency, transparency, accountability, and efficiency across state government, especially in the area of DOT. A report just came out talking about how bad our roads are, how bad our bridges are, how much it costs everyday citizens in traffic time and in car repairs. DOT has, if you're in that space, you know how ineffective and inefficient DOT has been for a long time. And so we're prioritizing Chairman Boriak's bills, reorganizing and retooling the Department of Transportation and Development. Those bills got out of Transportation Committee day before yesterday. And generally what they'll do is they'll create sort of a bifurcated DOT. They'll create a sort of hopefully to help DOT move at the speed of business a little bit, remove some of the inefficiencies, the bureaucracy, and create a department underneath the Commissioner of Administration that doesn't have all the red tape and that can get shovels in the ground and asphalt on the road quicker and for smaller projects that don't have federal matches. Then the more complicated projects, the bigger projects, the projects that do have federal funding and matches, those will stay at this new reform DOT, but hopefully the red tape and the amount of folks that are just over those and the complicated mechanism by which we get shovels in the ground, he's eliminating a lot of that red tape. And so it's a work in progress. It's complicated. It's not easy. As you can imagine, the bureaucracy, we talked about that spaghetti a little bit at the LWC that's been interwoven in there. Unraveling that will take some time. But I'm happy to say that The conversation is there, the idea is there, the passion is there, and I think that for the first time in a long time, we're going to have a more efficient, transparent Department of Transportation at the end of session. And so if you care about that space, if you're in that space, you should be encouraged now more than ever, but you should be engaged now more than ever. And so one of the things I started with was we want to be engaged with you because we want to make sure we're moving in the right direction. And one of the ways that we want to do that is through our strategic plan. And we want to always be updating and benchmarking. And so we've come out with our annual report. It shows us where we've been, and it helps kind of show us, okay, here's where we've been. Are we still on the right track? And what are other states doing? And do we need to pivot a little bit? And so it's an interesting report. We hope you'll find it interesting. One of the things in there that I really like, that I think is really cool, is that it says, states and areas that are going to succeed and that are poised for tremendous growth are areas with, access to land and power and energy and water and all of those things in an affordable manner, with a river, and with rail. What does that sound like? Sounds like us. And that's exciting. I mean, other states would kill for the kind of natural resources that we have in Louisiana. And so the president talked about it a little bit. He talked about this carbon capture thing. It's got to be done in a responsible manner. But we are poised right now to be a global leader in this area, in LNG, in carbon capture. Every project that you've seen recently, the Meta, CF Industries, the steel manufacturing plant, if you read the report, they all have a common theme, and they all say carbon neutral. And so these are things that in this carbon capture process is something that is a global initiative. And we can lead in that. We have the talent here. We have the economic opportunity here. And so we're excited about it. We know we can do it in a responsible manner that will benefit everyone across the state. As the state chamber, we want to do that. We want to be the economic development leader in that. But we also want to be your voice in that to hopefully do that in a responsible manner. And so we're excited about the future. We're excited because it's our 50th year, and we've got our gala coming up in December. We hope you'll join us for that. But we will definitely be back here, or we'll be we hope you will join us before that at the LABI as we host our Capital Regional Rally, celebrating hopefully more wins at the session. September 9th from 5 to 7. We'll honor some legislators, and we'll hopefully celebrate the accomplishments of the session. We did that last year, and we'll continue to do that. But get involved. Like I said, we need you. We're moving in the right direction. A lot of it's because of the feedback from you. I hope you feel the same energy I do as I go around the state with the progress that we've made. I'm excited about the future, but we've gotta keep our foot on the gas. And so thank y'all for having me. I'm happy to answer any questions. But I hope you all have a phenomenal Easter and a great rest of the week. And again, these are key for us. I hope you get as much out of them as I get out from you. But like I said, happy to answer any questions. Stay after or do whatever, but I'm probably pretty close to time. Yep.
Anyone have any questions for Will?
All right, covered it all, huh? Ran out of coffee. All right, thank y'all.